right hand, left hand, and I don't think he's going to get up. I think it's all over. I think it's over. Is he going to get up? Can he get up? Can he get up? He does. Oh my goodness.
If you haven't already, please also subscribe to us on Apple, Spreaker and Spotify. Just type in Brawl Boxing and you'll find us there. Thank you. I just want to start by giving a shout out to our amazing sponsor, CBD Uplift. They provide the best CBD products on the market, including oil, gummies and capsules. I've actually tried the products myself and I can genuinely say they're the best CBD I've ever had, especially the gummies. I'd seriously recommend anyone. If you use our discount code BRAWL20, you'll get 20% off and free shipping. So thanks a million, lads. Violent Gentleman, the newest and fastest growing boxing-inspired training/casual wear brand established in Northern Ireland. Violent inside the ropes, a gentleman outside of them. Behave accordingly. Check out their website, www.violentgent20.com, and all of their socials. Facebook, ViolentGent20, Twitter, ViolentGent20, and Insta, ViolentGentleman20. Thank you. Hello, folks, and welcome back to the Brawl Boxing Podcast. I'm Kieran McCourt, and I'm joined by co-hosts Colin McGuigan and Ram McLaughlin.
So, guys, we're very excited to have this next guest on the podcast. Please welcome the newly crowned IBO World Champion, Maxi Hughes. Maxi, how are you doing, mate?
Yeah, very well, thank you. Thanks for having me on. I have got a little visitor outside of me. I've told her to be quiet, but my daughter won't leave my side today.
She's the star of this show. Where are you at the minute, Maxi? Is that like a home gym or something?
It's a treadmill, but this is my wife's office at top of garden, and then she's just got a treadmill in back.
Happy days, you're taking over.
I come here to try and get a bit of peace and quiet, but
not how it works.
Love that. Well, Maxi, just obviously getting into the boxing stuff, you've obviously rose to prominence and over the last year or so as well, especially. How did you first get into boxing? Was it a family thing, or was it just growing up in your area that was sort of how you had to sort of survive?
I was quite lucky. I played rugby league. The first proper sport. I had dabbled in football when I was younger. But then it was when I was 13 years old, I started rugby league. And I did that for 2 seasons. And I did enjoy it. You know, I think that helped prep me for boxing because it's a tough sport, isn't it, rugby? And it was during one of the off seasons, I think, after 2 seasons, and then going into pre-season training for the 3rd season, our coach took us to a boxing gym, and it was actually what's now Freedom Boxing Club, where I spent a number of years training under Jimmy Harrington there. It was that gym that we went to just for some pre-season training, you know, to keep it interesting, a bit of something different, and I just enjoyed it, and I enjoyed it more than playing rugby. So I thought, I'm going to see if I can do this rather than rugby. So instead of going back to that gym, I spoke to my mum, and my mum says, I know she was working at Royal Mail sorting office at the time, and she says, there's a lad there who used to do boxing in Doncaster. So she asked him where I should go, and he recommended the Doncaster Plant Works. And then my mum took me from there, and then that were it. That was where it all started properly boxing for me, Doncaster Plant Works.
Is that where you're from, Maxi? Doncaster?
Yeah, I'm a Doncaster lad.
That's where Big Dave Allen's from, isn't it?
Yeah, well, Dave Allen, I remember I've been amateur there a couple of years, and then Dave started. Dave came to our gym then. He'd not boxed yet, but he had a couple of months training there. Then he left to go and train at the Ingle gym in their amateur side. But then I'd already turned pro, but then Dave came back to the Plant Works, but I'd already left to turn pro then. But so we see Dave Allen, yeah, he did start at the Plant Works and then he'd finished at the Plant Works, yeah.
You haven't ever seen him play table tennis, no?
I know. Is he good lad?
He's supposed to be unbelievable. We had Carl Frampton on the podcast like a few months ago, and Carl told the story that Dave called him out, said he was the best boxer table tennis player there is.
Oh, yeah.
Carl came to meet him. I think he went to like Doncaster to meet him, and they played, and he says Dave is horrendous.
You know, the best table tennis player I've come across is Andrew McCart from iFilm.
No way.
He
Andy?
is red hot at table tennis.
Kept that quiet on us.
Before I boxed Paul Island, I think it was day at fight. I had Andy a game, and he did not take it easy in the slightest. He even played. He's right-handed, and he says, to make it easier for you, I'll play left-handed.
No way.
He kept that quiet. We were with him like all fight week for the Mick Conlon fight, and actually Frampton was there a few of the times in the hotel. So if we had known this, that was getting set up. Like,
Yeah,
Could have been pay-per-view.
I think he likes to keep himself not known, and then when he gets called out on the table, then he unleashes the beast. Just smashes everyone.
that would have been on the undercard for Mick's fight. Him being Frampton, table tennis, in the middle of the ring.
imagine them bringing a table tennis court out in the middle of the field, just putting it in the ring. So Maxi, did playing rugby league, obviously, did that toughen you up at all? So, to sort of go into boxing, because I imagine it's a tough sport as well to play. Like,
I think so, yeah. So I was then naturally fit, quite naturally strong, and used to taking a few knocks and bruises as it went. So yeah, I think that stood me in good stead with being in shape and having that aggression. I did start out amateur boxing as a big banger. I think I stopped my first 3 or 4 opponents. So I started out as a puncher. I don't know what changed. Like.
you managed to avoid the cauliflower ears, yeah?
Yeah, definitely. Because I were only small and quick. They put me on wing and fullback, so I were not involved in big heavy scrums and big tackles. So I used to just run around everyone.
Doncaster is a town known for, like, obviously because they share with a football team the stadium, don't they? Keepmoat, what is it? The Keepmoat Stadium at Doncaster.
Yeah, Keepmoat Stadium.
Yeah.
I do believe they do share the I think they're called Dons. Yeah, Doncaster.
Are you a Doncaster fan?
I'm not really a football fan, to be honest. I used to follow it a bit, but one thing I do follow is when there's like World Cup or Euros, anything like that. Just that really, I don't know why it so much interests me. I think it's because it's easy to follow. Whereas if you follow in Premier League, there's so many different leagues, and then also there's all many cups. There's 3 different cups that they're all playing, and it's like I can't keep up with this. So.
A bit like boxing then as well.
yeah, it is actually, yeah.
So, Maxi, fast forward last year and all the buzz kind of kicked off whenever you were brought in against John Ocarroll.
Yeah.
Obviously, you weren't probably expected to win that fight. Did you go into that fight knowing that you were going to win it?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. I didn't just turn up as an opponent. We saw that John Ocarroll fight and thought, he's naturally a super featherweight. With front right last thing we got the fight agreed at lightweight, which I knew I was naturally bigger, so that suited me, and I just thought I'll be able, like, Jono himself's pretty slick. Oh, sorry, my daughter's just doing something. Jono pretty slick himself, but I thought with me being a southpaw as well and a bit bigger, I could nullify him. And I could give what's the word I'm looking for? Execute my game plan onto Jono and nullify what he does, and get my own shots off and stuff. So I always knew I was going to win. I was confident I could get a job. But it was a close fight. But where I lost a little bit belief when the final bell had gone, I thought I've won this. Believe I've won. And then it felt like it took forever for the judges to tally the scores up, and I thought, here we go. They're gonna give it to John O'Hare because he's the bigger name, and I was a massive underdog. I think some lads got it at 10-1 or 12-1 on bookies, and I think that's a bit offensive to me because I'd only lost fights to everyone who I've been beat by has once held the British title. So I've lost to good company, and so I think that were a bit unfair of the bookies to make me that much of an underdog.
Obviously, it was probably because Jono was obviously coming off that win against Quigg, so he had so much hype around him at the time. Did that sort of enter your head, get into that fight, like, this is my moment to sort of take everything, take all the sort of the momentum behind him and sort of put it on you?
Yeah, I just thought, with Jono being a big name, blue tick on social media, I thought if I beat him, doors will open up for me then. I can start getting some momentum behind me, and winning the fight. MT Ken then had options over me, so I thought, well, that's just better for me. If I can get this win, I've got a bigger fight coming next, so that were all extra motivation for me to make sure I did get the win.
Yeah, you seem to have that vendetta beating the Irish fighters. Obviously, after you beat Paul Hyland, you put the British lightweight scene on notice, didn't you? Did that come a lot of pressure with you?
No, I never felt no pressure again. I think the only recent fight I was the betting favourite was the Paul Hyland fight, but yeah, I seem to have a good run against Irish lads. No offence, lads. I beat James Fryers a few years ago for a British title eliminator. He was supposed to be the next big thing, but I beat him, and obviously John Ocarroll and Paul. Yeah, and in all my fights, I've never felt any. I've never put any unnecessary pressure on myself, and neither has Sean, my trainer. That's one thing he's always said. He says, "Don't worry about this fight." He says, "There's no pressure. Just listen to what I tell you. Do as I say." He says, and we'll be all right. He says, "Forget any pressure or all like that." He says, "Just relax. It's just a bit of boxing."
I suppose, like, having sort of being the underdog and in the fights probably helps in the sense that it can be annoying, I suppose, when everyone's like sort of rooting or betting against you, but it does take that pressure off. Like getting into to be honest, getting into the Stratform fight, I really liked you from the interviews and stuff, but I was worried because I'd seen Stratform had done the Tennyson, who I really rate. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I was like, this is a tough fight for Maxi. Does that make it all sweeter though? In the sense when
absolutely, yeah. When that, and to be fair, a lot of people have said on Twitter and Instagram, didn't think you'd get the Stratform done, but you've gained a new fans in us sort of thing, and I didn't, because it was local. I didn't stay in the fighters hotel and stuff, but speaking to Coogan after, he said like the general atmosphere towards my fight in the hotel amongst like the old pundits and other boxers were like, yeah, Maxi's had a good run and stuff, but he's probably a bit more than he can chew for this one because obviously Stratform looked $1 million last time he came here to fight James. So, everyone's thinking of that, thinking he's just going to do that to me. But we had other ideas.
What's the mentality been like in your gym? Because you train alongside Josh Warrington, don't you?
Yeah. We're in the same gym, training alongside each other. Yeah.
His dad's your coach, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
What's it like in that gym and the atmosphere, and obviously being with someone who's as highly thought of as Josh Warrington?
It's brilliant. He said that lately he's found some inspiration in me, coming back from losses and stuff. But Josh is always brilliant to train alongside. He's like the ultimate professional. So, he's known for his phenomenal engine and punch output. So, just think, well, if I want to be able to do that, I'll just copy it man next to me. But aside from that, the atmosphere that we've got, and we're a good set of lads. We have a laugh. We all get on, and as you've seen probably from listening to Sean talk, people don't really believe that he can be serious and execute serious game plans and get these big wins, which he has done because he's such a laid-back character and so down to earth. But when it's time to be serious and he thinks of his game plans and strategies, he gets job done, and he's just brilliant at his job. And I just want to give him credit, and I hope all the boxing community gives him credit because he hadn't fluked it with Josh. He's now got me a world title as well. So he's not just fluking this; he is actually good at it, and he takes it very seriously.
Obviously, at the minute for you, there was a big crash down back to reality last Monday whenever you uploaded that photo of you on the building site. Talk to us about that, because for some people that maybe don't know your story or don't really know the ins and outs of this type of boxing, is that you're actually still working full time alongside training. How do you manage that?
I did. I was fortunate enough for that last fight to have 6 weeks off, but all the other 3 wins that I had, I did work right up to fight. But yeah, no, that was a good win with Stratform and a good payer. But not enough to have my feet up every day and not work. So, and not only that, I just graft. my mum installed in me. She's a grafter. Spent a lot of time as a single mum providing for 3 kids. She just grafted, did what she could. And my wife's pregnant now. She's about 2 weeks away from having a baby. So she wants more time off. And the thoughts what go off in my head is, well, if I go back to work, I don't have to touch that fight money at all. And then all I'm thinking about is the future. Thinking, I've got that payday, that can go to the side. I can go back to work and just keep, and I suppose it keeps me. I think maybe I need, without realizing, I might need it just to keep my head on straight and narrow, sort of thing, and stay hungry, I guess. But it would be nice. I am going to start chasing for full-time sponsorships, because I do think there's an extra couple of percent I can get out and improve on if I can go to the gym every day and get the proper rest. Because like this first 2 weeks now, like I've been back at work, it's like, obviously because it's a big win, everybody wants a piece here. That I've got a couple of amateur gyms to go to and show my belt around, and podcasts and interviews. So I think, Christ, I just ain't got time to train at the minute. I have had a couple of sessions on treadmill, but they've been late at night, and and then I'm back up early at 6 and leaving the house to go to work. So it is tough, but I've been boxing since I was at school. So it used to be like I've got to go to school and then I finish and then go to the gym. So it's kind of been my mentality, throughout my career, really. And still now, but I think now I've won this belt and I've got signed by Matchroom. Now I think the time is, I've been at this 11 years, I'm 31, so I am probably at the backstage in my career. So I think now, while I've got this momentum, let me just try and get some full-time sponsorship to see how far I can go and ultimately see how much money I can make.
Tell me this: how do the lads treat you on the site? Are you like royalty, or do they keep you humble?
They can keep me humble. Like some of the people that don't know, I find it hard explaining. When I got asked, there's been the site that I went to on Monday. It's got this new signing in system, and they says, "Oh, you want new system?" I went, "I'm not." I said, "I've just had 7 weeks off work." And all right, how come? And I'm like, I can't be bothered to explain. It's a long story. I had a boxing match, blah blah blah, and he's like, and then that's when he says, "All right, are you semi-pro then?" And I just was like, yeah. And then he's like, he's a bit happy. He's like, "All right, yeah, you want to be able to get to turn pro one day and get yourself on telly and that, and then what I mean, you'll make it one day." You're whipping out your phone on the Matty Hearns number. You're like, yeah, I just sort of nod and go, yeah, mate, yeah. Yeah, I'll stick at it. I'll get there one day. Yeah. But the people that do know, because they are quite big sites, so go on. There is some people that know, and some people who have had tickets off me. But my first day back Monday, I had about probably 3-4 hours work, and I was there all day. There's the people that did know that I was back. They were coming and walking over to house the hour in and wanted to talk about it, and I wasn't going to ever say no. Do one. I'm busy at work. when I used to reminisce it and hear the side of like one of the lads who went, a joiner who went, I wanted to know what it was like on night for him. His experience of how it was and that. So he actually said, he says, "Well, we started drinking on the Saturday about 1. He says, I didn't walk through my front door till 7 o'clock next day." I was like, "Oh my God, that were a good night for you then, wasn't it?"
Maxi, you're doing a 4-hour shift, but you're actually doing an 8-hour shift, and you're only getting paid for the 4 hours. That's a shambles.
Yeah, this man needs full-time sponsorship.
It's part of being the people's champion. It's the price you have to pay to be the people's champion.
Seems to be people from Doncaster are you and Dave Allen. Is it just that sort of the way people are in Doncaster? They're just normal, hard-working people that so obviously you're talented as well.
Yeah, we're just working class, aren't we? Like same with Terry Harper, Jason Cunningham, young Reece Mould. We're all just working class people who we're giving boxing a go, and we've turned out to be pretty good at it and managed to get on telly and get a lot of the boxing world talking about it. And like myself, I go back to my day job and my feet are firmly on the floor and just remain humble, remain close to my roots. I won't ever try and change, or I'm a commoner and I'll always be a commoner.
Yeah. Well, Maxi, before we let you go, obviously you're in one of the hardest, the toughest weight divisions out there in lightweight. Where do you see yourself sort of when you finish your career? What would you have liked to fully have achieved? Is there a dream venue you'd like to fight at, or a dream matchup?
I'm chasing, like, people laughed last year when I won that WBC International. Obviously, it put me in top 15 with the WBC and called out Devin Haney, and people won't really take it serious. But now that fight's and at that time, I thought, how far off am I actually from a Devin Haney fight? Because I looked, it was only like when I won that, it was only the year before that he held that belt as well, the WBC International. I thought it can't be far away, a few more wins, and I thought I'm surely going to be knocking on his door. So that minute, it was a bit of a dream fight, but now it's not so much a dream fight. It's just a fight that's really close. His dad, Bill Haney, has done an interview on a podcast, and they mentioned my name. They must have watched it because they saw the interview. They were like, we respect him. He's done well. He's done it the hard way, and that's a fight that we'd like, on their side. So my name's in their mouth, and it's something they're talking about, something they want. They said we'd like to add the IBO to our collection, and obviously, I think Haney, because the WBC, I think for me it's my favourite belt. I think it's the best looking, that green and gold, your Irish colours. So that belt, that's the one I really, really want. So for me, and as well, like you said, the division is red hot, stacked with big potential fights as well. So I'm just looking above me. And it's not only the belts and stuff. I'm like, some people say, like when I started, I wasn't in boxing for money. I wanted to just box, but now I'm in this position. It is about money as well. I want the biggest fights to make my life easier. And all these, I've been boxing 16 years now, so I want a reward and something to walk away with, so I can, when I do finish boxing, I can say I've got this. I like to pay off my house, maybe get another little house for a pension. So I do finish and say, this is what I've earned out of boxing. This is what all my hard work and sacrifice and risk getting in the ring, this is what it were all for, and this is what I've got to show for it. So that's sort of where my head's at and where I'd like to head. And I'd love to fight in America. I ain't got a particular venue in mind. Sort of anywhere in America, where weather's decent. That'd be nice.
Bring Doncaster to Vegas. Or could you?
Yeah, I'm sure. After that fight, I got a load of lads messaging me saying, try and let us know as much in advance if you get that any fight, because we're gonna. One of my best mates is on about. He's got an house he lives in, and he's got a rental. And he says he's a bit strapped for cash. He says, "Let me know as soon as I'm thinking of putting house up for sale, so I can comfortably afford to come and watch you and have a good splurge."
The thing is as well, like you're talking about, like that not being out of the question, them type of fights. Like it was only 8 months ago, a year ago, that people were talking about Tennyson being on the verge in them fights, and then Stratform beat him and you beat Stratform. So you never know. And if you get that fight against Haney, you'll have done all right for a semi-pro. Like,
yeah, not bad for a painter on site, is it?
Well, thanks a million for coming on, Maxi. We were a big fan of you before you came on, but you're an absolute gentleman. So we really
thank you. Thanks for your time, lads.
Thanks a million, mate. Really appreciate you coming on. Thank you. Also, another big thank you goes to Wow Hydrate, who have came on board as a new sponsor for us as well. So why not push it and check out their website for some great deals.
I tweet way too much. Hell, this is my 5th take of this intro. My dad likes to call that life.
but I'd like to call that white girl problems. Met her back in autumn. Every gift I try to get her, she already got them. Messing with the TA, wonder what she taught him. Work her way down, literally to the bottom. Where are all my best friends? How can I ignore them? Never gonna text them, I am too important. Look at what my dad bought, yeah, it was imported. He took a second loan, cause our family can't afford